Greetings, Ben Murray here with another edition of SaaS Metrics School. Welcome. Hope you're doing well today. So, talking retention, how do you tackle a retention problem? So, I'm going to address the must have metrics and how to zero in our retention problems. So, first, the must haves for retention. First is customer or user retention. This is on account basis, not a monetary or dollar basis. Then we have gross revenue retention and net revenue retention. So with customer retention, of course, just looking at how many customers we're retaining. With gross revenue retention, we're looking at how much revenue we're retaining after accounting for contraction and churn. And then net revenue retention, we're accounting for churn and contraction, as in gross revenue retention. Plus, we're hoping expansion offsets the contraction and churn to give us a an NRR number above 100%. And of course, gross revenue retention maxes out at 100%. Also, very good to understand the benchmarks based on the financial profile of your business. And those latest benchmarks were released by benchmarkit.ai by Ray Reich, founder of Benchmarkit. And also, I teach the metrics and benchmarks in my SaaS Metrics Foundation course. I've got a live course starting July 9th. I'll put another link in the show notes for that. So we have three major retention metrics that we need to calculate. So we start there. Now we could go into a lot of detail on, right? We need our MR schedule. I've covered that in different podcasts. I cover that in courses and in my content. But those are the retention metrics we have to. So first, we have to understand retention, right? Let's start with the fundamentals. Then, where's my retention problem? Now, one, if we're early stage, maybe we just have a single product line, a customer base that's very similar, so we don't need to segment it. Well, now that actually could be a little trickier because maybe we don't dig into which product lines, ICPs, etc. But at least we understand our retention, but also how can we segment that data? So that's really important. So maybe we have one product line, but maybe we have different ICPs, different geos, different characteristics around that customer base that we can slice and dice our retention, run different retention schedules to see if we discover any patterns in the data that says that segment A is performing much better or worse than segment B, C, and D, and so on. Now, if you have a lot of different segments, a lot of different pricing plans, a lot of different ideal customer profiles, that's where we can focus in and see what the data is telling us to see which layer do we have a retention problem. Because somewhere within those layers, we've got a retention problem. Say we're running 80% retention and we're an enterprise product and we should be above 90, or let's just say even worse, like 75% retention and we're an enterprise product. Well, let's segment that and see maybe there's some layers of our customer base where we're running 95% best in class and others where we're running 60%. I have a coaching student that I've coached the past actually a couple years now, and they've done a great job at segmenting their customer base, also PLG versus SLG, different price points. And you can see the data then pops out and you can exactly see the profiles that are generating good retention and the profiles that are generating poor retention. And those are the areas of focus for our team, maybe our product team, our customer success team, to figure out, well, what's going on within these layers and what can we do? So it provides focus. So to zero in on your retention problem, we've got to segment the data. We can't use just the big overall retention data set. We've got to slice and dice it somehow to see if there are any patterns in the data. And the only way we can do that is just by doing it and see what the data says. And then finally, cohort versus aggregate retention. So of course, I always calculate aggregate revenue retention for my clients. That's looking at our total customer base. But again, we're segmenting that as well. Then there's cohort retention, very applicable to lower price point products up into mid-market. In enterprise, it just depends. If you're only acquiring one customer a month, a couple customers a quarter, it's going to be hard to run cohorts because there's just not enough volume of data flowing through. But also, again, if you have enough customer acquisition each month, you can run cohort analysis too to see if we're improving our retention profile with each new customer cohort, right? That's the whole point of cohort analysis. We're looking top to bottom with each new customer acquisition cohort. Are we doing better than looking left to right? Are we retaining them longer over time versus previous cohorts? So, couple thoughts, concepts here. If you do have a retention problem, low retention, what metrics to calculate, and then segmenting that data to see what patterns appear. So then you can focus, just like I talked yesterday about that financial roadmap. You have to understand what's working, what's not working. Also, same thing with your MRR schedules and your retention schedules to see what's working, what's not working within your customer base.